think about frigates for Dark Abyssals, you probably think about 3x Hawks. But have you thought about using one Hawk, a Skybreaker and a Kirin? In this video I'm gonna show you a setup that can clear them super fast, sometimes in even 6 to 7 minutes. Let's look at the fittings. This is the Hawk, it is a rocket Hawk, and the fitting looks very similar to the exotic Hawk that I showed you a few weeks ago. The only difference are the rig slots. There we have a hydraulic bay thruster one and a bay loading accelerator, so that this Hawk gets a little bit more DPS. But the rest is about the same as the exotics. In the high we have rocket launcher, remote shield booster. In the mids we have an extender, AB, battery, multi-spectrum and EM hardener. In this case we use the Giston B type, because in darks there is no resistance penalty. And without that it means that it takes longer to kill the rats, so you will be exposed to the DPS from the rats a little bit longer, so you actually need a little bit more tank in some rooms, especially Angel and Kikimora. And in the lows we have two ballistic control systems. For the implants we use rapid launch, rockets, capacitor management and missile projection. The CPU management, however, is not really necessary, because with that fit it has enough CPU and power grid, but you can still use it and then, for example, put in a better EM hardener or maybe even a Piffy A-type remote shield booster. Or you can also replace that CPU implant for either a navigation implant, which gives more speed, or for the capacitor system operation, it gives a little bit more capacitor recharge. As the Genolution implants that you see, they are also not really needed. You can leave slot 1 to 5 either empty, or if you feel like you can put in some Rapturer implants, which also gives bonus to cap recharge rate. Then we're gonna look at the Skybreaker, and this is actually the core part of this setup, because the Skybreaker uses a Warten projector and that spreads to other targets. And the interesting thing about the Warten projector is that the dark weather penalty does not affect the range of the Warten projector. It still has the same range in darks as outside. It is also so that tracking disruptors will also not affect the Warten projector. This makes this weapon very strong in darks. And the rest of the fittings are AB, extender, web and multi-spectrum. Actually you need the web against some rats, especially the Overmind, to prevent it from getting to the edge of the room, and Kikimora, so that the rats stay closer together. Those are just Warten tuning systems. Rigs, we have an EM rig to give more tank against Angel and Sansha room. Capacitor control circuit for more cap recharge rate, because this fit doesn't have a battery, so we need better cap recharge rate so that you can spam this Warten project, which doesn't use a lot of cap at all. And an ancillary current route so that we can fit a medium shield extender to survive wrecking shots from Kirin or the Overmind. Implants are also straightforward. Probably do not really need the Genolution implants, but capacitor system operation, capacitor management and shield management are a good choice of implants to go, which gives even more shield HP or cap and cap recharge rate. And this is the Kirin. This fit is actually a little bit different to the exotic Kirin or the Kirin that I showed you a few years ago. In the high slots we have remote shield boosters. In the mids we have shield extender, AB and battery. And then you have a Gist and B-type multispectrum hardener and a PIF X-type EM hardener. And in the lows we have two capacitor power relays to get more cap recharge rate. We have dual field extender rigs to get more HP, and we have a drone for some extra DPS in some room like the Overmind. However, it uses an EM hardener and a multispectrum because the only real threat to this Kirin are Angel and Sansha, because they can apply really well to the Kirin. And in case there are many Cinnables shooting the Kirin, you can just overheat those hardener and get very high resist against EM, which is the main damage type that Angel use. So you can survive longer in this room. Also compared to other frigate setups, in this set you only have one ship that can repair the Kirin instead of two from the other setup. Plus you also have to tank your own DPS because the Skybreaker Squadron will spread to your own ships as well. So this is why this changed. So the Kirin basically relies on a buffer tank, the passive shield recharge rate and the remote shield booster from the Hawk. And for the implants on the Kirin, I would recommend capacitor management and capacitor system operation, as well as shield management and shield operation. Those give more shield HP and increase shield recharge rate. And you can also put some Rapture implants on it and use dual extenders. If you do not use Rapture implants, you might want to replace one of them with a capacitor control circuit. Then you have a little bit less HP, which means that you have to be a little bit more careful. Or you can just use some of the lower grade Raptures and then fit the field extender, which makes it a little bit more tanky. So, and those were the fittings. Let's talk about some general things. In T5 there is no guaranteed death scenario. If you do T6 with these setups, you will run out of time if you get either 3 times the Overmind or 3 times Deepwatcher, or 2 of them plus a very bad Angel room. Because Angel rooms, if there are lots of elite Cinnables, can also eat up your time a lot. And when you enter a room, you can mostly just hit approach on a cache and fly to it. Exception are Sansha and drone battlecruiser, there you want to kite, as well as battleship rooms where you want to keep transversal up like Kirin and so on. You always focus down nudes first, especially small nudes like Damavix, Ephialtes cruisers and so on. And then you usually split the DPS up, where the Hawk shoots the Skybreaker shoots the small stuff and the Hawk shoots the bigger targets like cruisers, battleships and so on. Now we're gonna look at each individual room. Let's start with the drone frigate room. In this room what you do is hit approach on the cache with the Hawk, and then the Skybreaker will just shoot those drones. The Hawk usually does nothing in that room unless there is something that burns out of range of the Skybreaker. But usually the Hawk just does nothing in that room. You can even shoot the Hawk with the Skybreaker and then the chain will spread out to those drones. Next we have the Vedmak room. In that room you first focus down any starving Damavix that come from you. And after the starving Damavix are gone, you go for the starving Vedmaks. You stop all ships in one place, because the movement of the Vedmaks actually is enough transversal to avoid most of the hits. and in Dark even more than in other weathers because of the speed bonus they get plus the closer orbit range. An interesting point to mention is about the starving Vedmak. In minus 50% weather, if you stop all ships in one place, then they will not shoot you, they will orbit outside of the range of the turret. In that case you only have to worry about their newts but not about their DPS. This actually means if you get the room with like 4 starving Vedmaks and 1 harrowing Vedmak, it is probably the best thing to kill the harrowing first and then focus the starvings afterward, because then there's basically no more DPS in the room once the harrowing is gone. And just like before, once the starving Damavix are gone, the Hawk shoots the Vedmak and the Skybreaker shoots the Damavik, and usually by the time the Hawk has killed the Vedmaks, the Damavik should have gone up through the chain of the water projector. And here we have the Ephialtes room. Focus down any newts at the beginning, which are the Lucid Firewatchers and Dissipators. And after the newts are gone, shoot the Ephialtes with the Hawks and any frigate that is in the room with the Skybreaker. And the chain will also go to the Ephialtes cruisers. So if you shoot them, you actually want to focus more on those that have more EHP left than those that have less, because with that you can actually optimize the room clear time and maybe save even a reload to clear this room faster. But usually it just takes 2 to 3 minutes to clear this room. Here we have the sleeper cruisers. This room is actually a bit more annoying, especially minus 50% weather, because they spread out very much and then the chain doesn't hit all the targets at the same time. But just like in any other rooms, you focus down any newts first, and then the Skybreaker shoots the drifter cruisers and the Hawk shoots the sleeper cruisers. Sometimes the chain spreads to most of the targets, especially the Watchmen, as they stay together, but Upholder and Sentinels you usually have to kill one after the other because the chain doesn't go to all of them. And here we have the room with Kikimoras, Rodivas and Drekavax. What you want to do is to find the leader Kikimora in this room, and then you want to web it with the Skybreaker. But first you have to kill any starving Damavik that comes from you to remove any newt pressure, because getting newted out in this room can become very dangerous. And once you kill all the newts, then you can shoot the Kikimoras. Actually the Skybreaker shoots the leading Kikimora, the one that you webbed, and the Hawk first kills any Rodivas and Drekavac to remove some remote repairs and then focus the Kikimoras. If there are a lot of Kikimoras, then you obviously want to focus the Kikimoras first, because then in that case they will do a lot of DPS. But if there are many Rodivas and Drekavacs, you want to kill them first before they repair each other up, and with that you can clear this room a little bit faster. Here we have the Leshak room. The Skybreaker loads the long range arm ammo, which is the strike snipe, and shoots into the Leshak cloud. And with the Hawk you burn straight into them, and you focus the tanglings first because they orbit closer and they have the least EHP from all of them. And once they are gone, you just have to chase down the remaining Leshaks. Leshaks are more annoying in -50% than in -70%, because in -50% they will still orbit at around 25 to 30 kilometers. And you also have to keep in mind that they will remote repair each other, and if there are many renewings and many starving or blindings, then it can take a lot of time to clear this room, because the DPS on a single target with this setup isn't great at all. So you want to kill as many Leshaks at the beginning as you can before they repair up too much. Here we have the Angel room, which is probably one of the hardest rooms for this setup. When you enter this room, hit approach on the cache, and once the Cinnaballs are in range, and you either move up or down to generate some transversal at the beginning so that you don't take too much damage at the beginning. If you see that more than 2 Cinnaballs are shooting the Kirin, then you want to overheat the hardness on the Kirin, because then it gets very high resistance against the damage of Angels. Plus it is also that you cannot perma run your remote shield booster on the Hawks, because there are a lot of newts. You kill the non-elite Cinnaballs first, and then you go for the elite Cinnaballs. And the chain from the Watcher will kill most of the frigates that are close. And then after that you have to chase down the Ixians as well as the Sword Spines, because they orbit outside the chain range. And if there are many Furies, then you might maybe want to kill them after you have killed the non-elite Cinnaballs. But if there's just like one or so, then you want to focus the elite Cinnaball straight after that to remove as much DPS as you can. Because most of the DPS in the Angel room is in the Cinnaballs, while the frigates do barely any DPS that is noticeable. And here we have the Overmind. What you want to do is to orbit him close, and you want to orbit him with each ship individually and wrap him with the Skybreaker, and with that you can actually keep him in one place and prevent it from going to the edge of the room. This is especially important in -50% rooms where the Overmind will pull more range. And then you just shoot everything at him. The chain will kill any frigates that are around there. In T5 the Overmind takes around 5.5 to 6 minutes. In T6 it can take over 7 minutes, which means that if you get this room 3 times in T6 you will run out of time. So keep that in mind if you plan to do T6 with this setup. But if you orbit him close, then there's probably no way that he will hit any of your ships. Here we have the drone battlecruisers. What we do here is to use the fact that the drone battlecruisers do not switch targets. You draw all the aggro on the Hawk and pull range, and then you look for the leader battlecruiser with your Skybreaker. You orbit this at 7.5 kilometers, wrap it and shoot it with the chain. And the Hulk shoots javelin rockets to the battlecruisers and focus those that have more HP left, so that you can make sure that once the leading battlecruiser dies, all the remaining battlecruisers will also die to the chain. And you want to prevent getting too close to them with the Hulk, because they will do a lot of damage. In minus 50% they can still do wrecking shots at around 10 to 12 kilometers. So I would recommend staying more than 12 kilometers away from them with your Hulk. After some time it might happen that one of them will switch to your Skybreaker, in which case you have to pay a little bit more attention with your remote repair, but the Skybreaker shouldn't have an issue with tanking just one of them. And in minus 70% their range is probably so low that they might never hit your Skybreaker at all, but in minus 50% you have to be a little bit more careful with them. And here we have the Deepwatchers. You kill the cache, loot it, and then you orbit them at close, shoot everything on them, and the chain will periodically damage the rest of them, and you focus down one of them with your Hulk. And as I said at the beginning, in T6 where there are 4 of them, this can take up to 7 minutes this room, which means that you might time out if you get this room 3 times or together with Overmind, so keep that in mind. And you also want to ignore any cruiser or frigate, because the chain of them will usually kill them by the time you killed the last Deepwatcher. And here we have the Marshal room. What you want to do is to kill any newt and web frigates, which are the Drainer and Arrestor pacifier, as fast as possible, because you do not want to get webbed in this room or neuted out, because then the Marshals or even the cruisers will do a lot of damage. Once those frigates are gone, then you go for the Marshal and kill the Drainer Marshals first and then the Arrestor, to remove as much newt pressure as you can. You do not want to get into a blue cloud in this room, because speed and low signature is your main tank against this room. And here we have Kirin. While spiraling into her, you want to kill any web and newt on the way to her, so that you can keep your transversal up. And once you are in range with the Skybreaker, put a web on Kirin, which prevents her from going too far away, and with that you can keep her in the same place so that you don't have to burn all the way back to the gate. The water projector chain will kill the remaining cruisers that are in this room. So just focus down webs and newts, and the rest will be done by the water projector. here you have the Sansha room. What you want to do is to load Galva Sword or even Strike Snipe on the Skybreaker and then kill many of those annoying frigates first, which are especially the Smiths, the Heralds and the Fishers, because they will web, newt and tracking disrupt you, which prevents your Hawk from doing any damage. This room is more dangerous in -50% than -70%, because there the frigates have still some range or they can probably hit you if you get too close. And once those frigates are gone, you want to spiral into the knights, load electro punch and rage rockets and then focus down the knights. And against the knights you want to keep your transversal as high as possible, because they have very bad tracking. Even if you are webbed by them and you keep your transversal up, they might even miss most of the time because the tracking isn't that great. But as said, this room is more dangerous in -50% than -70%. And that was the guide for this setup. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about this setup. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.